Good morning, family. Welcome to today's Lessons for Life. Today is Thursday, November 13th, 2008, and we're reading today in Genesis chapter 45, and now we're just coming to the story with Joseph and his brothers. And if you read this entire chapter, as I always encourage you to do, because there's so much more you can get out of it, I'm just going to touch on a brief portion. But now we see that Joseph reveals himself to his brothers, and there's something that I really enjoyed about this chapter, and that's what I'm going to speak on for Lessons for Life, where it says that Joseph says to them that don't be angry with yourselves, because basically it wasn't you that sent me away, or put me into this situation. It was actually God that put me into the situation. So don't be angry with yourselves, and realize or recognize that it was all God's divine plan, because now he says that God actually sent me here because there was the famine in the land, but now he sent me here to really preserve you and to preserve the lifeline of our family. So there was a divine plan in place, and even though they thought that they did an evil thing, but it was turned around and reconstructed into something that was actually good, not just for Joseph, not just that God preserved Joseph's life, but now he turned it around so that Joseph could not just preserve his life, but also preserve even their lives and the entire family's life. So there's something that Bishop says now. It's so fitting for this right here, that the thing that was made for evil, so what you thought was made for evil is going to be turned around for your good. And this is exactly what happens, as we see in this chapter here, that they sold their brother away, they wanted to kill him, but they thought that they were doing something evil, but it was really all God's divine plan. And Joseph now is able to be a blessing, not just that he survived, but now he's able to be a blessing to them and to their entire family line. And that's something that's so important lesson for us to learn, that things that we do or things that we may experience which we think are so bad, so terrible, so life-shattering, can really be turned around to be a blessing to us, and not just to us but to other people as well. And I have a great example of this that I can share at this point, where a lot of people think that one of the most tragic things that happen to them is the death or losing someone that they love. And several years ago, of course, my mommy died, and a lot of people, when they go through a funeral, they go through they're crying and grieving, and then that's basically where it ends. But that was taken and actually began to start the seed for Samson's and what we have now in the business that we have. By her passing, it really propelled us into Samson's and what we're doing in our business. And it's amazing that something many people see as negative is now such a positive thing, and we're not only be a blessing to ourselves, because this is of course a financial blessing for us, but being a blessing to other people, because now we're able to help and to minister to other people who've lost a loved one. So even like in the case of Joseph, as we see here, not only are we blessed by it, not only did we make it through and we are prospering because of what people would view as a negative thing, but we're also able to help other people, and in our business help other people who've lost a loved one. So that's, I think, a great example of how something that many people think is a negative thing can be turned around to be something that's very good. And people still, friends and people I work with, are still laughing, not laughing, but they can't even understand how I made a business out of what we do, and how we're doing so well, and how we're profiting, and how we're actually doing better than some of the larger funeral homes that we do work with. But that's a great example of even what we learned today about with Joseph, how something that could be negative or something that you can see as a life-shattering thing can be turned around and can be transformed or reconstructed to be something good. And the key thing is that, as you see even with Joseph, that even though he was sold from his family, they wanted to kill him, he still had kept his relationship with God. He still sought God, and he still, even when he went through prison and he went through all the different things he went through, he was in Potiphar's house, he still kept his relationship with God. And that's the thing that was able to turn that negative situation into something that was positive and into a blessing now, so he can even bless his entire family and everyone that's basically around him. So he's even, and it's as I'm saying, he's blessed his family, and not only blessed his family, he's blessed even all of Egypt. Even all of Egypt, because remember, he's the one that was able to interpret the dream of Pharaoh's dream. So if he didn't interpret their dream, they would never understood what that 7 years of prosperity and 7 years of famine. So even that thing that was so negative of them trying to kill him and give him away has been a blessing, not just to Joseph, not just to even their family, but to the entire all of Egypt. And actually, the famine was all across the land, so he's been a blessing just even from that. Because what would have happened if they didn't sell him, if they didn't want to kill him? Then the course of events would have been different. So out of that negative thing, something great can happen. So you got to look at it in your life. Out of whatever negative thing that you see, it can still be reconstructed. It can still be turned around, and there could be a great blessing out of it. And there's one more thing I want to touch on just at the end of this chapter. I think that's enough in itself with the lessons for life. But at the end of this chapter, when they go back and they tell their father Jacob that Joseph is alive, and then you see that it says that basically his spirit is revived. Because remember, he thought he was about to die. He thought he was coming to the end of his life. But his spirit got revived, and he says, I have to see my son Joseph before I die. And many people think that they're at the end of their rope, or they're at the end of their situation. But when there's something that can inspire you, and when there's another mission, I'll say, that can inspire you, then you can keep going, and your spirit can be revived to even continue the work that you have to do. So that's why I even think to myself a lot of times that I don't ever want to retire and just be just retired in that state of retirement. I want to always be doing something, always have something to do, something to put my mind to, something to continually keep me going so my spirit can continue to be revived. So with that, that's today's Lessons for Life. It was a tremendous chapter. I was greatly blessed by this, and I encourage you as always to read through the entire chapter for yourself and see what you get from it, and share it with us on the blog, and we will talk again tomorrow. Create yourself a wonderfully blessed day today. Go ahead and do everything you need to do. Even those things that you thought was negative, see how it can be turned around, reconstructed, transformed into something that can be a blessing, not only to you, but to those that are even around you.